not all of our equations can be factored. If we cannot factor one of our quadratic equations, then we have what's called the quadratic formula. And the quadratic formula is this guy right here. Could you turn to page,
Oh my Lord.
30? Okay. You know what? I mean, yeah, it's kind of annoying. So this is what I'll say. If we don't have to use the quadratic formula, factoring is going to be much faster. Okay. But if we can't factor, we're not going to have a choice. Now, what are these A's, B's, and C's? What do you need, bud?
Why is there a minus sign?
Okay, so let me answer my first question. What are all these A's, B's, and C's?
First number, middle number, and last number.
Okay, so this is what we're solving. This is where A, B, and C are coming from. As long as we're set equal to 0, because that's what we're solving for. Now, how many potential times could we get a parabola across the x-axis? Twice. So we're going to have maybe 2 solutions. So we have negative b plus blah, 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 blah over 2a. That's one solution. And then we have negative b minus blah, 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 blah over 2a. That's 2 solutions. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do it like kind of like all together, and at the very end, split it out. Okay. So this is what I'd like you to do. In the middle of your table are some dry erase things with this quadratic formula. Will you grab one and slide it in so that we can use this to help as we learn it? Okay. What? Are you serious?
I don't think you're.
Like, we literally just used whiteboards last period, so there's no way there's nothing.
There's white. Oh yeah, because you just throw it at the beginning of the class period.
Are there extras in there? Henry. Like, there is no way that there are no markers because we literally used them last class period. Ready? Do we need one? No? Okay. No. So here's what I want you to do. I literally was asking if anybody needed one, and you did not answer me. Okay. Look up here. This is the problem we're going to do. So we're going to go to our little cheat sheet. What is A? How about 1? Never going to be 0. What is B?
6.
Try again. Negative 6. Because it's minus 6x.
Are we doing this one?
Yes.
I thought we were doing this.
No. And what is C? 4. So what I want you to do is, can you please fill in B, A, and C into your little cheat sheet? Now, anywhere there's a rectangle on your cheat sheet. When we write it on our paper, instead of a rectangle, we're going to use parentheses. If there's a rectangle that you wrote in, we are going to use parentheses. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to go to our problem and we're going to say x equals negative. I wrote in a -6, so I'm going to put it in parentheses. Plus or minus the square root. I wrote -6 in a rectangle, so I'm going to put it in parentheses and then put that square. -4, I put 1 in a rectangle, so I'm going to put it in parentheses. I put 4 in a rectangle, so I'm going to put it in parentheses. I put 1 in a rectangle, so I'm going to put it in parentheses. The hardest part is just making sure you get the right numbers in the right places with the right order of operations. Actually figuring out the answer is not that bad. You just got to make sure that you do the right order of operations, okay?
What's the square root?
I need you to just hold your horses, okay? Everybody okay with this right here? Okay. -6 means what? So we have +6 plus or minus. What is -6 squared? And make sure that it is a +36. This number is always going to be positive because it's in parentheses, okay? Minus, what are we going to minus? 16. All over 2.
What do we do with like the plus and like the thing underneath?
So it's a plus or minus. We're going to wait till the very end and we're going to split up our numbers. Okay. Okay. So now what we have is we have 6 plus or minus the square root of 20 all over 2. Can the square root of 20 be simplified?
Yes.
Oh man, it can. Okay. We know that 20 is 4 times 5. So this becomes 2 square root 5. Okay. Now, when we get to this point and we have reduced the radical, we need to ask ourselves, can we reduce? Okay, so since this is a radical, I can't squish 6 and 2 radical 5 together ever. Okay, so what we have is 6 is being divided by 2 plus or minus 2 radical 5 is being divided by 2. Both of those pieces are getting divided by 2. What is 6 divided by 2? 3. Plus or minus. What's 2 radical 5 divided by 2?
Radical 5.
So what the heck does that mean? We have 2 solutions. One solution is 3 plus radical 5. It's a decimal. It's an irrational number. But that is where our parabola crosses the x-axis, as well as 3 minus radical 5. These are the two places our parabola crosses the x-axis. 3 plus a little bit more than 2, 3 minus a little bit more than 2. But since we're in our radical chapter, we're going to keep them as radicals. Okay? This is an equation that you would not have been able to factor. The only way to get this answer is to use the quadratic formula and a method that you'll learn in pre-calculus or algebra 2, but we won't talk about that. What's up?
So if you put something you can factor into the quadratic formula.
Okay, if it is something that you could have factored, then you won't get a radical for your answer. You'll get nice numbers for your answer, and we'll probably look at one that has that. Okay. Okay, so let's look at number 1. Okay, go ahead and let's erase your quadratic formula cheat sheet, and we're gonna do this with number 1 now. Okay. I don't know what to tell you because I literally gave all my extras out. Look at your friends coming to the rescue, Ellery. Okay. All right.
Now you're hitting. Give me my marker back.
All right. So our equation for number 1 is x squared plus 10x minus 2. So we have 1x squared plus 10x minus 2 means that c is negative 2. So since this little fill-in sheet is always plus plus, if it's a minus, you have to put that with your number. Okay. So b is 10, a is 1, and c is negative 2. So when you go to your paper, we're going to write x equals negative b plus or minus the square root. Anytime there is a rectangle, that means you're putting a number in parentheses. Okay. Write it down on your paper and make sure it looks exactly like mine. You have parentheses where I have parentheses. Do you disagree with something I did? Okay. So we have negative 10 plus or minus the square root of 100 minus what? Okay, so this gives us minus negative 8. Do you see that? So it's plus 8. Maddie, do you have a question? Okay. Because it's minus negative 8. Minus negative 8 means plus 8. So we have negative 10 plus or minus square root of 108 all over 2. Oh, 108. There's got to be a perfect square that divides into that bad boy, right?
Nope.
36 times 3. Can somebody confirm that for me?
No,
It is 36 times 3? Cool. So if 108 is 36 times 3, then that means the square root of 108 is 6 square root 3. What's, Connor, is that a problem? Don't pretend to get it if you didn't get it. Okay. Okay. 36 times 3 is 108, and the square root of 36 is 6. Okay. So, well, we've come to the realization that we have an irrational answer. So we need to make sure that we take negative 10 divided by 2 plus or minus 6 radical 3 divided by 2. What's negative 10 divided by 2? So negative 5 plus or minus, this would be 3 radical 3. I can't do anything with the radical 3, it's under the radical, but we can take 6 divided by 2 to get 3. And you know what? If you have an irrational answer, I am totally fine with you just leaving it connected together like that. It is fine. You can separate them out to negative 5 plus 3 radical 3 and negative 5 minus 3 radical 3, but I'm also okay with you keeping them connected. Okay. Does that at least feel a little bit better? Like it's just the same thing over and over and over and over. Is it tedious? Yes. So, I mean, so let's look at number 3. Okay. We're going to look at number 3. There is a problem with number 3. What's the problem? It doesn't equal 0. So we need to first subtract over the 20 so that now we are set equal to 0. Now, could you please fill in your chart with your A, B, and C? And then write out the formula on your paper. And when you write it out, could you please double check that when you're done, it looks like mine? We're doing number 3, sir. Okay. We're not going to do number 2 or number 4. That way, if your work has to spill over into those rectangles because you write really big, they can. Will that help? I'm not going to do any of the, yeah, I mean, Eli's handwriting is so big. Oof. Mm-hmm. I bet he could fit number 1 and number 3 into one box. Okay. All right. Does yours look like mine? Okay. So negative B is really just 8. Plus or minus, please. please remember that b squared, no matter if b is positive or negative, what kind of number are you gonna get? You're gonna get positive. What's 4 times negative 20?
Negative 80.
So we have minus negative 80.
That's a positive. That's 140.
Ooh. So we are getting the square root of 144.
Which is 12, yeah.
Oh. Don't you dare leave your answer as 8 plus or minus 12 over 2.
Just gonna finish it.
Let's finish it.
Plus or minus.
So what's 8 divided by 2? And what's 12 divided by 2? You still cannot leave it as 4 plus or minus 6. What's 4 plus 6? And what is 4 minus 6? Negative 2. Those are the answers that I need. If you get a perfect square under your radical. Oh, Zayden, what did you say? Couldn't we just have factored it? Yes or no? Uh-huh. Yeah. So this is one. Would it have taken more time or less time to factor? Yeah, probably less time.
But how do we know?
So for right now, all of the problems I give you today, you're going to use the quadratic formula just so you get used to it. Okay? Tomorrow, I'll help you decide when to use it, when to not use it. Okay? Is that fair? I guess. Okay. How about you try number 5? You and your elbow partner work together on number 5. Ooh, maybe this is not one I should have given you to do on your own. Are you coming up with a problem? No?
I got 3.
Okay, did you write down this at least? And we get negative 6 plus or minus the square root. You get 36 minus 40. What's 36 minus 40?
The square root is 2.
Okay. What number squared is negative 4?
1/2.
2.
Nothing.
No.
Yes, you're right, an imaginary number, but you guys don't know that yet. This is a no solution. Do you remember when we did b squared minus 4ac to see if it was bigger than 0 or less than 0?
No.
Yes.
Hey, that's this number right here, b squared minus 4ac. If our discriminant, this number under the radical, if it's negative, we don't have a solution. We cannot take the square root of a negative number. It's impossible with real numbers. So there is no solution. This parabola is above the x-axis, opening up.
You said you have to choose from 0 in order to take it.
I'm not entertaining that question right now.
No, this is just.
Okay, so this is what I'm going to tell you. Go to page. What's the next page? 32.
31. Oh.
So from pages 32 and 33, how many problems are there? 12. Pick 9 of the 12. Pick 9 of the 12 problems. And I will let you start right now while you have that quadratic formula cheat sheet in front of you. I'm hoping that by the time you leave, you can feel comfortable.
I already feel comfortable going now.
I mean, not using the cheat sheet.
I feel comfortable too.